It is 2:37 in the morning. The room is dark, the phone is finally face down, and there is nothing left for you to do today except sleep. But your brain got a different memo. It is still in a meeting. It is still presenting slides you never asked for. What did she really mean by that message? What if I fail that exam? What if I never get out of this job, this city, this life? Did I say something stupid years ago? What if something bad happens tomorrow and I am not ready? You are not awake because something is happening. You are awake because your mind is replaying what might happen in full detail from 10 different angles. You roll over, check the time, do the math. If I fall asleep right now, I still get 4 hours. If I fall asleep right now, I still get 3. You bargain with your own exhaustion like a desperate negotiator. The more tired your body becomes, the more awake your thoughts feel. You scroll for a few seconds to distract yourself. Then you feel guilty and put the phone down again. Now your brain has a new file to open. Why are you like this? Normal people just close their eyes and sleep. What is wrong with you? And you know exactly what you will do tomorrow. You will drag yourself through the day, drink too much caffeine, promise yourself that tonight you will sleep early and you will not overthink. Tonight you will finally get your life under control. Then the lights go off and the same meeting starts again. The truth is, you do not have an overthinking problem at night. You have an overthinking ritual that is draining your days, and your brain keeps calling it being prepared. This video is not about thinking positive or magically silencing your mind. It is about seeing why your brain does not know how to stop once it starts predicting danger. Overthinking feels like a safety mechanism, as if the more you think, the more protected you are from bad outcomes. In reality, it keeps your nervous system on full alert for threats that mostly live inside your head. Anxiety is not proof that something is wrong with you. It is proof that your brain has learned to treat imagination like reality. In this video, we are going to break down 3 things. First, the lie that overthinking gives you control. Second, how anxiety actually works in your body and why it keeps looping. Third, how to build a simple protocol, a way of no choice for your mind, so the thoughts are allowed to pass without dragging you with them. Along the way, we will use ideas from Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, and a Zen teacher to show that this problem is not unique to you or to this century. The goal is not to erase uncertainty from your life. The goal is to understand your mind well enough that uncertainty does not own you. Part 1. The lie of control. You probably believe that your overthinking is a sign of responsibility. You do not see it as a problem, you see it as protection. When something matters to you, you think about it from every angle. You rehearse conversations. You imagine the worst case so you can be ready. You rerun old moments and try to figure out exactly what went wrong. It feels like work. If you stop thinking, it feels like you are being careless. So you keep going. You tell yourself that calm people are either naive or lucky. You think you know better. The more you think, the safer you will be. This is the lie that keeps you awake at night. Imagine you send a message to someone you care about and they do not reply. Immediately, your brain starts predicting. Maybe they are busy. Maybe they are angry. Maybe you said something wrong. Maybe they are losing interest. Within minutes, you have created an entire universe of explanations and outcomes. None of them exist outside your head. yet your body reacts as if they are real. Your heart rate rises, your stomach tightens. You cannot focus on what is in front of you because your mind is busy managing a crisis that might not exist. The same thing happens with your future and your self-improvement. You sit at your desk and think about your life. Within seconds, you jump years ahead. What if the degree you chose is useless? What if you never find the right job? What if you end up stuck, broke, invisible? You walk into the gym and think about how far you are from your ideal body and how long it will take. You open your laptop and think about every way this project could fail. Your brain calls this preparation. In reality, you exhaust yourself before you even begin. You arrive at the starting line already tired. The deeper problem is this. Overthinking confuses analysis with action. Your brain gets a small hit of relief each time you mentally solve a problem. You picture yourself finally fixing your habits, speaking up, changing your life. For a few seconds, you feel better because in your imagination, you already handled it. Then you look around and nothing has changed. The gap between your imagined action and your actual life gets wider. That gap is where anxiety grows. The more you think about doing something, the heavier it becomes to actually do it. The brutal truth is this. Overthinking does not protect you from pain. It multiplies it. It makes you suffer through possible outcomes in advance, then suffer again when reality finally chooses one. It does not make you more prepared. It makes you exhausted, suspicious, hard to love, and too tired to actually live the life you keep thinking about. Part 2. How anxiety actually works. Anxiety is not a mysterious curse. It is an old survival system doing its job a little too well. Your brain was not designed to make you happy. It was designed to keep you alive. To do that, it scans for danger, predicts what might go wrong, and prepares your body to respond. In the wild, that made sense. Hearing a sound in the bushes and imagining the worst case could save your life. In your modern life, the same system is still running. But now the lion lives in your inbox, your bank account, and your relationships. Inside your brain, there is a small alarm center, often called the amygdala. Think of it as a smoke detector. It does not care about accuracy. It cares about speed. If it sees something that looks like a threat, it rings the alarm first and asks questions later. Your heart rate goes up, your breathing changes, your muscles tense. Another part of your brain, often called the prefrontal cortex, is more like a wise advisor. It can step back, look at context, and say, "This is uncomfortable," but it is not a tiger. When the alarm is loud, the advisor is hard to hear. Overthinking is what happens when the advisor and the alarm start arguing and you get stuck in the middle. A small trigger appears, a delayed message, a strange look, a thought about your future. The alarm rings, your body feels a wave of tension. Then your thinking brain jumps in and starts building stories to explain that feeling. She must be angry. I am going to fail. Something is wrong. Your body reacts to the story as if it is a fact. The alarm gets louder and your thoughts become even more catastrophic. This is the anxiety loop, sensation and story feeding each other until you forget what actually happened in the first place. Your nervous system cannot tell the difference between a real event and a vividly imagined one. If you sit still and picture in detail that your partner is leaving you, that you are failing in front of everyone, that your life is collapsing, your body will respond as if it is happening now. Your heart pounds, your stomach closes, your mind races. Then you look at yourself and say, I must really be in danger, otherwise I would not feel this way. You take your own reaction as proof. First the feeling appears, then the story. Then the feeling returns as evidence that the story was true. Over time, your brain learns. It starts to associate certain situations with that intense discomfort. Texts that are not answered fast enough. Messages from your boss. Silence from someone you like. Being alone with your own thoughts. The alarm begins to ring earlier, sometimes before anything has happened. Because anxiety feels so physical, you try to control it with thought. You believe that if you can think it through enough, you will finally find a safe angle and the feeling will stop. For a short time, it seems to work. Then a new what if appears and the cycle starts again. The system never completes because it was never designed to give you absolute certainty. It was designed to keep you scanning. The more you try to think your way out of anxiety, the more you teach your brain that anxiety must be solved before you can live. You reward the loop with attention. Every time you drop everything to wrestle with your thoughts, you tell your nervous system, this feeling is an emergency. Please ring the alarm again next time. Your brain is not your enemy. It is simply following the rules you are teaching it. If you want to break the loop, you cannot only change what you think. You have to change what you do when the feeling shows up. The goal is not to become a person who never feels anxious. The goal is to become a person who can feel anxious and still choose what to do next. Part 3. Learning to live with uncertainty. Marcus Aurelius spent his days leading an empire, and his nights writing to himself about what he could and could not control. He knew that almost everything that happens around you will never fully belong to you. Other people, the economy, the weather, politics, death, luck. Inside your hands are only a few things. What you pay attention to, what you choose to say, what you decide to do next. Anxiety is what happens when you try to drag the outside field into the inside one. You lie in bed and try to control whether someone will choose you, whether a future boss will approve of you, whether life will spare you from certain kinds of pain. Your thoughts race because they are doing an impossible job. Epictetus sharpened this even more. He said that it is not events that disturb you, but the judgments you attach to them. The unanswered message is only a small rectangle of silence until you decide it means rejection. The unknown future is only a space you have not walked into yet until you fill it with images of failure. The same reality can feel like a prison or a path depending on the story you place on top of it. Overthinking is the habit of writing the worst story in advance and then believing it as if it fell from the sky. When you live like this, you are no longer reacting to life. You are reacting to your own commentary. Centuries later, a Zen teacher told his students to picture their thoughts as clouds moving across the sky. The sky does not run after the clouds. It does not grab each one and demand an explanation. It allows them to appear, change shape, and disappear. You treat every passing thought as a legal case. You freeze the cloud, pull it down, and put it on trial. The more you fight with it, the more solid it feels. What begins as a small flicker of worry becomes a concrete wall because you keep touching it. You cannot build a peaceful life on the condition that the world stops being uncertain. If your plan is to wait until you know exactly how your story ends before you allow yourself to rest, you will never rest. The Stoics tell you to draw a hard line between what belongs to you and what does not. Your actions are yours, your effort is yours, your values are yours. The outcome is not. Zen tells you that thoughts and feelings are movements inside awareness, not orders you must obey. Anxiety tells you that every feeling of threat is a command to think more. Philosophy tells you that the feeling is a signal, not a sentence. Learning to live with uncertainty means accepting that hurt will come anyway, and deciding that you will not live the entire future in your head before it arrives. Part 4. The Anti-Overthinking Protocol. This is the part where your brain will want more theory. Do not give it that. If you want less overthinking, you do not need a new insight. You need new rules. Overthinking is not an accident. It is a ritual, and the only way to break a ritual is to replace it with another one that is simple, brutal, and boring. Rule 1. Name the loop, not the world. When your chest tightens or your thoughts start racing, your first job is not to ask, "What does this mean about my life?" Your first job is to say, "This is the loop." You are not diagnosing the future, you are naming a pattern in your nervous system. My brain is predicting danger again. My body is reacting again. The point is not to feel safe. The point is to remember that you're dealing with a habit, not a prophecy. Rule 2. Use a worry window. You are allowed to think about your problems, but not all day and not in bed. Choose a small slice of the day, maybe 15 minutes in the afternoon, and declare it your worry window. When anxious thoughts show up at other times, you tell them, "Not now. You can have time later." You write them down in a simple list and return to what is in front of you. When the window comes, you sit down. Look at the list and ask one question for each item. Is there any action I can take on this in the next day? If the answer is yes, you plan a small concrete step. If the answer is no, you leave it on the page and you close the notebook when time is over. You are teaching your brain that worry is an activity with a time and a place, not the background noise of your life. Rule 3. Make decisions from a cutoff, not from exhaustion. A huge part of overthinking is reopening the same choice again and again. You decide, then you undo the decision in your head 100 times. From now on, for any important choice, you give yourself a clear deadline and a clear amount of thinking. When that limit is reached, you decide and you commit to acting as if that decision is final for a set period. During that period, you are not allowed to replay the decision in your head. If new information appears, you handle it in the next review window, not in the middle of the night. This is not about never changing your mind. It is about refusing to live in permanent mental negotiation. Rule 4. Action first, explanation later. Overthinking trains you to wait until you feel ready, confident, or calm before you move. From now on, you reverse the order. When you notice yourself spiraling about a habit, a project, or a conversation, you pick the smallest useful action and you do it while still feeling uncertain. You send the message. You open the document and work for 10 minutes. You go to the gym for 15 minutes and leave. You do not wait for the perfect plan. You move first, then you allow your feelings to catch up. None of these rules are complicated. That is the problem. Your mind will try to trade them for something more clever and more impressive. At some point, you have to decide that you are finished worshiping your own thoughts. Overthinking will not leave your life politely. you're going to have to throw it out and lock the door. Stop arguing with ghosts. There will always be another night when the room is dark and the ceiling feels too close. Your phone will lie face down and your mind will start lifting stones again, searching for snakes that are not there. The old ritual will invite you back. Think more. Rehearse more. Bleed early so it hurts less later. You know now that this is a lie. Marcus tried to remind himself that most of the world was never his to command. Epictetus told his students that it was not events that broke them, but the sentences they whispered about those events. A Zen teacher pointed to the sky and said that clouds do not own the space they pass through. They were all talking about the same thing you are living through tonight. A brain that is trying to think itself into safety in a world that will never promise it. You are not going to think your way out of being human. There will always be unanswered messages and years of your life that you cannot see yet. The point is not to become a cold statue that feels nothing. The point is to stop letting every flicker of fear turn into a trial in your head. To feel a wave and not call it a verdict. To hear the alarm and not treat it as a command. At some point, you have to decide that your thoughts are not the highest authority in your life, not even the loudest ones at 3 in the morning. Tonight, your mind will offer you the same deal it always offers. Stay here with me. Think a little more. Suffer now so you do not suffer later. You know the price of that deal. You have paid it for years. You do not owe it anything else. You can let the meeting end. You can let some questions hang in the air unanswered. You can feel the fear and still turn off the light. Your life is not happening in the versions you act out in your head. It is happening in the small, simple actions you take when you finally stop arguing with ghosts and step back into the present.